Matin. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous poursuivons avec Émergence, le journal Émergence quotidien qui nous parle, lui, un grand titre des Lions indomptables du Cameroun. En effet, de nouveaux scandales autour des primes des Lions indomptables dans l'équipe nationale camerounaise. Les détails sont donc en page 11 de ce journal Émergence ce matin. En page 9, le journal nous parle de Bamenda. Les plaques d'immatriculation SEMAC sont donc désormais exigées dans cette partie du pays. En page 3, le journal Émergence nous parle de société d'État. Et tout dit demande donc désormais à valider les recrutements camerounais. Les détails sont donc effectivement en page 3 du journal Émergence ce matin. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, avec Essinga. Essinga, lui aussi, qui revient en grand titre ce matin avec l'entreprise publique Paul Biya qui reprend donc en main les nominations et recrutements. Dans une note au gouvernement, le secrétaire d'État à la présidence Ferdinand Ngongo répercute une directive présidentielle sur la nécessité à observer et à recruter présentement par le président même de la République, son Excellence Paul Biya. Les détails sont donc en page 3 du journal Essinga ce matin. En page 7, le journal nous parle de lutte contre le paludisme. Le MinSanté soupçonné de favoriser pour plus de 9292 milliards de francs CFA. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous clôturons ce matin avec le journal Mutation quotidien. Le journal Mutation quotidien qui nous parle en grand titre des produits pétroliers, le poids de la subvention sur le gouvernement camerounais. En effet, pour le seul mois de juin, l'État va débloquer près de 80 milliards de francs CFA afin d'alléger le prix à la pompe. Les détails sont donc en page 7 du journal Mutation quotidien ce matin. En page 11, le journal nous parle de l'Assemblée nationale. Djongouté qui esquive donc le Covid Gate. Nous restons toujours dans le même journal Mutation quotidien à sa page 13. Il nous parle, lui, de Maurice Ndjoumé, l'auteur de Maïmouna qui est donc décédé. C'était tout, mesdames, messieurs, pour vos titres en langue française. Place à la découverte des titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Gladys Bomotongina. Let's kickstart this morning with Cameroon Insider, the bi-weekly English publication is interested in the shake-up at the level of state universities in the country. Cameroon Insider is revisiting the decree signed by President Paul Biya recently appointing some officials at state universities, and equally FECOM board members also appointed by the President of the Republic. The paper goes further to tell us that the President of the Republic of Cameroon, President Paul Biya, last Friday signed 4 decrees, one of which appointed members of the board of directors of the Special Council Support Fund for Mutual Assistance, while the others concern the appointment of an Inspector General in the Ministry of Higher Education and senior officials in some state universities in the country. More details on pages 2 and 3 of this edition of Cameroon Insider newspaper. Let's take you to Oku. Oku in the northwest region of the country. From honey, now it's Oku wheat. A group of farmers in Oku says they are able to produce 10 tons of wheat in just 120 days, a possible solution to the rising prices of bread and other wheat products. The war in Ukraine disturbed the supply chain as over 65% of imported wheat in Cameroon is supplied by Russia. The leader of the team in Oku says he needs just an enabling environment to provide a local solution to the problem. More details on page 7 of this edition of Cameroon Insider newspaper. And the Cameroon Insider newspaper on page 15 is talking about Feka Food that has is waging a war against age-cheating players. The Ethics Committee of Cameroon Football Federation has published a list of 44 players suspected of age-cheating and double identity. The concerned are expected to appear before a panel of jury. That's a panel of judges from July 4 through 8, 2022 in Yaoundé. We stay with Cameroon Insider newspaper to talk about the agitations of women in the southwest region of the country. We are talking about Manu women who have said enough is enough. We are tired of what is happening in our community. The recent burning down of the Mamfe District Hospital has further pushed the women of Manu Division who met last week to condemn the burning down of utilities or public utilities in that part of the country by suspected Ambazonia fighters. And we take you to this other headline that has to do with SDF in the Guardian Post newspaper. After sacking from key positions, SDF bigwigs fire missiles at Frundi. Professor Kale Frundi OC should have been the first to give way for fresh blood. Those are the words of Professor Kale. And meanwhile, Honorable Awudu says, my replacement non-event as it was overdue. You can read more in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper talking about the reactions of those SDF bigwigs not leaving out that of Senator Nsumelu, who has said, I am not interested in SDF shadow cabinet position. Meanwhile, Robert Wafu has said recent appointment put SDF as at risk of brutal breakaway. We stay with the Guardian Post newspaper to talk about the appointment of Professor Kingsley Ngange, who has been appointed as the Vice Chancellor at the University of Buea in with relations to the business world. You can read more about the appointment that was signed by President Paul Biya recently. And a gunmen attack oil vessel, kill seller in Bakassi in the southwest region of the country. The paper tells us further that the armed men believed to be members of the Nigerian pro-separatist group have attacked or reportedly attacked a speed boat in the Bakassi Peninsula in belonging to Cameroon. The boat is said to have been attacked by those separatist fighters belonging to the Nigerian separatist group. You can read more in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. The Horizon is interested in what is happening at the level of the Social Democratic Front Party. The SDF Frundi cements OC's takeover and fortifies come to more details on page 2 of this edition of the said newspaper. Meanwhile, the paper is also telling us that a Francophone is the new Bar Assembly president. He was voted recently in Yaoundé during an election that saw thousands of lawyers converged on Yaoundé for the election of the new Bureau of Cameroon Bar Assembly, as we are told. On to the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune is interested in the appointment at the level of state universities in the country. New officials appointed by President Paul Biya. You can read a full presidential decrees signed Friday, June 17, 2022 to this effect only on pages 5 through 8 of this edition of the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Thank you for watching, televiewers of My Media Prime Television. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions, and Alex Ndive, or Maitre Alex Ndive, is joining us on the line to London as usual, while we await the arrival of Alex Ngepi, who is a politician. He's caught up in traffic. Maitre Alex Ndive, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning, Gladys. I was already falling in love with Emmanuel Moni and Etape Quinton. They were doing a good job. So I was happy with them. I was already planning that they should overthrow you guys. and good morning, televiewers. I'm happy with your team. It's always a pleasure to be and talk to the beautiful people of the Cameroons.
Let's talk about SDF, the Social Democratic Front, leading opposition party of the country, shortly after the firing of some bigwigs. Those bigwigs have decided to react, Maitre Alex Ndive, and the decision of the national chairman is not, has not been welcomed by most of these parties' officials.
I must start by saying SDF is not the major opposition political party in Cameroon.
Going by the number of parliamentarians that they have in parliament, I should be right saying what I'm saying.
I'm answering your question. SDF have got 5 parliamentary seats. UNTP have got 7. CPNR have got 5. UGC have got 4. and other party have got 322. So, and when CPDM have got 152 seats, it means there's no opposition. It means there's one party system. That's where we should start. There's no opposition in Cameroon, taking into consideration that the CPDM have got absolute majority. That's the starting point. Yes, I got your question about the headlines on the Guardian newspaper talking about the SDF cabinet reshufflement and shadow cabinet. I must start by telling you that a lot of people don't understand democracy. In Cameroon, there's nothing like shadow cabinet, because in the UK where I am, there's a shadow cabinet that is in the constitution, and these people are paid. A shadow cabinet is a group of members of principal political parties in opposition that are choosing to counter members of government who are in cabinet. That's, you shadow them. And I don't see any shadow cabinet in SDF. We should stop fooling the people, because sometimes people don't read, they don't understand how politics work. There's nothing like shadow cabinet.
But before, they used to do that. If you are saying that SDF, from what you are saying, means that SDF is dead now. But before, are you saying that what they were doing before, they are wrong?
You understand, in our party, we have something we call shadow cabinet. The reason we call it is that we want to shadow people. Shadow people means you scrutinize the government policies and you hold them into account. We have seen that SDF have not been shadowing the government. When Mr. Biya did not keep to his promise about Gypsy Port, Ring Road, SDF have never talked about it.
But the national chairman has always spoken. He has been talking. So
we are talking about shadow. There should be somebody who should shadow. I'm not talking about national chairman. I'm talking what is shadow.
Okay, now that we have Bala, now that we have Abba Bala, don't you think he's an outspoken civil society actor getting into SDF? Don't you think that he might be up to the task to do the job now?
My problem is, it's not about being outspoken. It's about doing the right thing. Anybody who joins SDF is a disgrace, because I'll tell you this.
That's an overstatement.
Let me, I will support what I'm saying. SDF don't like people with brain. That's why they sacked Professor Sika Asanga. That's why they sacked Asongani. That's why they sacked Barrister Benmuna. That's why Madame Tamnjong resigned. That's why Kawala resigned. That's why they sidelined Chairman Ngekaluma. I will tell you that in a political party, you have what we call the right, the left, and the center. SDF want everybody to think like mouton, sheep. That's how they behave. So people who join SDF, they don't have brain, to my opinion.
Maître, vous parlez ici d'un autre avocat. Vous ne pouvez pas quand même dire que ce monsieur qui a été positionné à ce poste, il ne connaît rien. Vous ne pouvez pas dire ça.
You're talking about individuals. I'm talking about a political party called Social Democratic.
No, but you said
Maitre Gobala qui a
you said anybody joining the SDF does not have brain. I'm
not talking about individuals. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm saying if you read a party, to join a party, you have to look what are the manifesto on education, what are the manifesto on judiciary, what are they thinking about hospital, road construction. SDF have got none of that for 30 years. So only a Mouton will join such a party. That's what I'm saying. And look, I'll tell you clearly, Professor Ndive is my uncle. I was surprised when he was in SDF. I was surprised when Gekaluma was there. And at the end of the day, Professor Ndive said they need to give fresh blood. To me, I don't believe in fresh blood. What's fresh blood? You need people who are competent to be there. I don't care your age. I don't care whether you're old or young. We need competent people, not fresh blood. So if you're good, remain there. I've watched Mr. Frundi for a long time. I think Pamuna and Pafoncha, they were better off than Frundi. Because when you see somebody like Frundi, who goes and says, if I was under 50, I'll be in the bush, he's aiding and abetting terrorism. When you see Frundi, who use Section 8 to sack everybody who have brains in the party, he's telling you that our party is only for people who think alike. So at the end of the day, the party is not an inclusive party. The party, there are things that they do on the ground. They keep on calling themselves opposition. Let me tell you something. Opposition party don't join the government.
But SDF has not joined the government. SDF has not joined the government.
Mr. Lasha, if you let me down, you will know what is a government. You have the executive, legislative, and the judiciary. The vice president of National Assembly have been banned them for a long time. That's joining the government.
No,
People
no,
think
no. But
government
the parliament is not the government. The parliament, you have
no, the parliament is part of
you have
the
three
government.
arms of the government: the executive, the legislature, and
yes,
the judiciary.
Then the parliament is part of the government. How come that? Listen, if you have absolute majority, you don't need to put opposition in power. You only put opposition when there's a hung parliament. So once as the Bello Buba, Chiruma, Daikole Daisala, and Jean DJ Momo, once you are there, you're no longer opposition again. You are in a coalition government.
But
so
are you saying that SDF are accepting to take up those positions? They are going against the standing order of the National Assembly or the rules that is obtained at the level of the National Assembly and the Senate? Is that what you are saying? How does it work in the UK? How does it work in the UK?
You know the laws in Cameroon are one rule for another person. When it comes to, like, example I'll give you, Ndedi Yango is a foreigner. Eto is not a foreigner. So I don't really believe in laws in Cameroon. That's why I'm doing politics, so we should change the law and make sure nobody is above the laws. That's why I'm doing politics. That's why I know that the law it goes as you fit. If somebody is your friend, the law doesn't apply. So I make it clear. We keep on fooling people. That's why I'm doing politics. Most of the people who stand and say political party, they call themselves opposition. They only appear when there's election. And at the end of the day, people, like, I will say something to you. In Boya, they call it Lord Mayor of Boya. Lord Mayor is an unelected post in the United Kingdom, in London. So you see, people just use name, they don't know what it means. Either you're a mayor, not a Lord Mayor. We just use things. They say they're talking about shadow cabinet. There's no shadow cabinet in Cameroon. They can campaign that we should change our constitution, bring in shadow cabinet so that they can scrutinize and hold the government into account. In Cameroon, to my knowledge, people create political party to join the government. That's what is happening, to the best of my knowledge.
Sometimes you said on this very platform that the SDF is dead and is about to be buried. And now this national chairman apparently has resurrected the party by bringing in those that he's bringing in. Why don't you share in his idea? Why do you still have a problem with what Frundi has done in revamping the party?
I don't have a problem with that. I say, if you are there for 30 years, you have 5 seats in parliament. That's not a progress. As a politician, you judge. No, but
in the past, they had so many parliamentary seats, so you cannot be talking about just 5 this time around.
When you say in the past, we talk about the present. Our life is not in the past, it's for the present. I'm just telling you that. Let me learn. I'm just telling you. 30 years time, you have 5 seats. That's failure. If you used to be number 1 in your class, then after 30 years, you're number 50. You cannot say that's success. So at the end of the day, SDF is a failure. SDF is worse than CPDM. SDF is absolute. SDF should be dissolved. And SDF, the members of SDF, like John Fundi, you claim you're a national chairman. You cannot go and walk the street of Bamenda. That's a disgrace. That's a shame. You cannot live in your home in Tarekun. So you cannot call yourself a member, a king without what is happening.
Ok, Maître Alex, on fait un tour à Itoudi. Hein. Désormais, les recrutements seront validés par la présidence de la République. C'est du moins ce qu'a annoncé un communiqué publié par le secrétaire d'État Ferdinand Ngongo sous haute instruction du chef de l'État.
The point is, since I was born, I know recruitment were always done by Mr. Biya. If I could analyze that statement, this is why that statement was made. People believe it's Mr. Ngongo who is responsible to appoint people. So that's just a window dressing exercise. Mr. Biya has always been responsible to appoint and recruit people in the Cameroon ever since he was president. So suddenly, we see such a communique or headline. It's because everybody is saying in the corridors in Cameroon, in Mimbo House, in Chicken Palace, they are saying that it's Ngongo who is appointing people. So he's just putting that thing. He's guilty of something. That is what is happening.
Maître Alex, est-ce que ce communiqué au jour d'aujourd'hui, c'est une couverture? Est-ce que ce communiqué au jour d'aujourd'hui doit être pris en considération par les Camerounais?
Say it again, please. Some people are distracting me.
That communique she's talking about, should it be taken seriously by Cameroonians? Is that that's what she's asking?
The point is, taking into consideration Mr. Biya's age, We all know that they are using Mr. Biya as a trademark to run Cameroon. Take an example. Any person in Cameroon, whether your granddad or your grandma at the age of 90, they are not fit to do a lot of things. It is common sense, and common sense is not common. Let common sense prevail. Mr. Biya is an old age, is not an illness. If I could reach Mr. Biya one day, I would be very happy. But let me tell you something. They are using Mr. Biya as a trademark. They know the day Mr. Biya is not there, there's going to be earthquake. You have seen for the last maybe 10 years, there are more people embezzling money in Cameroon. COVID gate, Can gate. It's because Mr. Biya, I'm not saying Mr. Biya was perfect, but at the moment, the people who are running the country behind Mr. Biya's back are more dangerous. They are taking as much money as they are because they know the time is near.
Mais Maître Alex, on a déjà on a plusieurs nominations, bien plusieurs décrets signés par le secrétaire d'État sur très haute instruction du chef de l'État. Est-ce que ça ne doit pas susciter de l'inquiétude chez les Camerounais?
My point is, I don't believe in paperwork. I want to see Mr. Biya. Mr. Biya can speak. He should come on television. That I've given instruction to Ngongo and talk less this.
But Maitre, he delegated his signature to Ngongo long ago now.
If you cannot delegate it permanently, that's why I say, okay, let's make sure that, okay, at the end of the day, Mr. Biya is in the presidency. We don't see Mr. Biya. He doesn't come out. What's the function and duty of a president? To sit and let's see him on television? Before 1982, there was no television. So if there was no television, like Aito used to go to places and see people, so how would Mr. Biya be doing his window dressing exercise or playing to the galleries?
Okay, Maitre, let me take you now to Oku. Let's talk agriculture. And this time around, after honey, now it's Oku wheat. And a group of farmers are saying that they can produce 10 tons of wheat in just 120 days. Is that good news? And can these farmers not be supported? Is it not good news for Cameroon, since we are talking about shortage of wheat coming from Russia?
If those farmers, they can hear me, I want to ask them, what were they waiting? What were they waiting for? Nobody stopped them from it. Why were they not competitive? I understand. I don't understand how the government...
No, they say they need an enabling environment to be able to produce the 10 tons they are talking about to solve the local solution. I mean, a problem, to solve the local problem. They say they need 10...
I don't know how things...
Yeah, they need an enabling environment.
I don't know how things work in that part of Cameroon, but I don't think they will refuse somebody. If you have got a business plan, whether you ask government subsidies or you submit your business plan to a bank and they give you a loan. So I don't really know how it works, but there are so many means. At the end of the day, the government cannot, if I'm in government, if you cannot prove that, you can do that.
No, from what we are seeing, take a look at the newspaper on our screen. You see very well that they are already doing something, and that's even a local administrative authority on the field. If the producer can zoom, so we can all see. I mean, inspecting what they are already doing.
I've seen what you have said, but I said there's a procedure that they do this. That newspaper could be in Nigeria, so I don't know.
No. This is the government. It's a government newspaper. Maitre is a government newspaper. The English version of Cameroon Tribune, published twice a week.
The government newspaper is the best news on earth. I'm sure most of us when we were growing, we did not even trust the government newspaper. So, however, I'm saying there's a procedure to do these things. You don't do it through a government newspaper. What you do normally, example, you draw a business plan, you put the business plan and you show how you can achieve certain things. Either you send it to a government if there's a government subsidy or grant, or you send it to a bank and get loan. There is a procedure. So it's not about just coming and say it on social media, because anybody can do those things. There should be a procedure. If you want taxpayers' money, they have to scrutinize your plan. They have to see it's viable. If it's workable, that's how they do it. And you sell it there. I'm supporting them. If at the end of the day, they go and find out that their plan is feasible and possible and workable, I'm behind them. But however, we should learn to do things in a proper way.
But Maitre, we equally have an issue, a problem of palm oil shortage in Cameroon. With all the virgin lands that we have, we are importing palm oil into the country, and now somebody is coming up with an initiative saying that he can produce 10 tons of wheat a year to solve the local problem, and apparently from the way you are speaking, it shows that you don't even have a support. You don't even want to support people like that.
My problem is not support. I'll tell you about my background. My uncle, Dr. Guanula, who had a hospital and a clinic in Victoria at the time, he was a farmer. He used to produce oil in Owe. He was not going around asking the government for subsidies or whatever. Those things are normal things. So my background, I know those things have been happening. He always produced a lot of oil, come to Goya, give us palm oil. So I don't know why people, it seems as if people have looked at the government or taxpayers' money. This is time to scam people. I'm not saying the government should subsidize people. Everybody will come up with something, government. If you want to do business, start by doing that business and show how your business is working and how things are going. Then they can support you. Don't just come and say, we can do this illusion. I'm not saying they are illusion. I'm just saying there's a lot of scammers there, so we have to know what is good, what is not good.
Are you saying that the pictures we have is they were taken elsewhere? And
I did not say so. I said we don't know. You cannot stand and judge things on picture. What you do a business plan. Say, I cannot sit there and I see somebody there. I say it's Mr. Lasha because he's got the same face. You have a right to doubt it. So there's a procedure. That's what I'm saying. Anybody can come up with a plan. We should be cautious, and it's taxpayers' money, it's not government money.
Okay, Maitre, let us talk about this, volcano or this eruption that is about to happen at the level of Fecafoot. We are talking about a list of at least 44 players that have been published by the Ethics Committee of Cameroon's Football Federation, Fecafoot, for age cheating and a double identity. Why is it coming only now?
It's strange to me to say that people are using double identity. But however, this is not strange in our country, you know, about ghost workers and everything. It is a way of life that people have developed it, and we should get to the bottom of it. So sometimes I'm not in favor for Fecafoot or people to investigate themselves. Usually, when things like that happen, the police should be called in. There should be an independent investigation.
It is the ethics committee of Fecafoot that is waging war against age-cheating players. So why should we be involving the police?
A crime has been committed. If you start using double identity, it means that a crime has been committed. That's what I'm saying now. It's a criminal offense. We should forget about internal rules. When you go around making double identity to defraud an organization, that's a criminal offense, and it falls within the remit of the police, not that ethics committee. It's not about ethics. That's no ethics. A crime has been committed.
Maybe after a thorough investigation, the 44 players will be handed over to the police or dismissed.
You don't need to. When something like that happens, the police have to come and seal the place in order to protect evidence. When ethics goes there, they will mess. The first port of call should be the police. Ethics can come later on to discipline them after the police have finished their investigation. Police first.
But you politicians are the very ones saying that the police is not credible enough in Cameroon. You complain about Cameroonian police of bribe and whatever.
I am not. One of my mentors, Mr. Denise Ekane, was Secretary of State for Internal Security in Cameroon. And he was one of the best of best. I used to have all this discussion about things. He came there after Anje Chungi created something, the police, which never worked. I spoke with my mentor, who was Secretary of State for Internal Security, Denise Ekane. This is somebody who tried to bring Cameroon, change Cameroon when there was no problem. He invited Abel Mukon to stay 2 weeks in the house. Actually, late 1988, how can we change Cameroon? So when I'm saying these things, I know what I'm saying. He was the boss for the police. And not all the police, they are not corrupt. I know that. But however, an investigation is an investigation. You seal the evidence, and whether we like it or not, some police are corrupt, but we have to ask the police, they must do their duty. They are still there. They are our police. And any corrupt officer that's corrupt, we have to root them out and continue with the police service.
Maitre, let's take you now to Manyu Division in the Southwest region, where women have said we have had enough. They were speaking shortly after the recent burning down of the Manfe District Hospital, and they are angry and saying that the Ambazonians, they have done enough. So it's high time they stop destroying public utilities in their communities.
Mr. Lasha, what surprises me is that we should educate our public. If a thief come and break into your house and steal something, you start complaining, oh, this criminal have done this. No, what do? You make sure next time when there's election, you kick away the weak government that cannot exercise its function, like maintaining law and order, protecting national security, assisting economy. You blame the government. You don't blame the people who committed the crime, because there is a function, there is a duty. You don't go to government to collect taxpayer money and embezzle it. When you go, you're a government, you're elected. You go there to protect the people. So whatever happens, it means the government is unable to protect the people of the people. Yes, it was wrong that people have burned down a hospital. I acknowledge that clearly. But who is supposed to protect the people? Who is supposed to use taxpayers' money to govern? It is the CPDM ruling party. Are they doing that? No. Are we ready to replace them? Yes.
Ok, Maître Alex Ndive, nous allons dans le journal Mutation ce matin. Le journal Mutation nous parle de l'Assemblée nationale. John Gouté, le Premier ministre du Cameroun, esquive donc le Covid-Gate lors de l'Assemblée nationale.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us, Maitre?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yes, Gladys was talking about National Assembly, where the Prime Minister apparently dodged away from COVID gate in front of parliamentarians.
You say did what in front of parliamentarians? Say it again.
Il a esquivé le COVID-Gate.
He dodged away, ran away.
Yes,
Yeah.
not talking about COVID gate in front of parliamentarians, from what Mutation is saying.
The problem is we should face facts. When we go and we have to look at what's the duty of the head of government, prime minister. What's his duty? Is he head of the parliament? No.
No, he goes to answer or defend his government in front of parliamentarians.
But what I'm just saying, to be honest, let's face facts. He's a prime minister. Has he got powers? And every time we see him,
Of course, he got powers.
Let me learn. He comes and testify that I've received instructions from the head of state. He has not received instruction from Mr. Biya to talk about COVID. That's why he escaped. So we know that the prime minister is just another minister. He's not head of government. He doesn't appoint the ministers. He was appointed by Mr. Biya. Some ministers are more powerful than him. He hasn't got a budget. The president of National Assembly have got a budget. We just know that's a window dressing exercise to please some Anglophones. He's there for himself. He's not working for us. He cannot go to Nguti and walk the street of where he come from. He cannot go to Bamenda and walk without military. These are people who are refugees, who have run away from where they come from. They are living in the capital. And Mr. Biya said, once Yaoundé is breathing, Cameroon is okay. So they are there where they can breathe and let the other country, the part of the country, let them suffocate. That's what's going on.
Yes, Maitre Alex, your peers or your colleagues yesterday voted a new Bar General Assembly president. That was in Yaoundé, and he was elected. He's a Francophone who is leading the Bar General Assembly. Now, for some times, the lawyers have been crying that they needed somebody at the helm of the bar shortly after the passing away of the former Bar president. What was your reaction with the new person as a lawyer?
My reaction is I always go back to what are the duties? Why do we have the Bar Association? The general view in the Western world or in the United Kingdom is that lawyers should speak under one voice.
Are lawyers in Cameroon not speaking under one voice?
Let me learn. I say I always go, what is the function or the duty of the bar? That's why I go. I don't look at because somebody has just been elected, it's not important. Okay, what are their plans? I will start assessing them by looking at, are they ready to challenge the government that the head of state should not be a guarantor of the judiciary? That's when I will start assessing them. What are their plans? Let the new president come and tell me what do you want to do, because I would really like to practice law in Cameroon where the head of state is head of the judiciary. I don't understand how you can practice law under that situation. When I was growing up, I used to see great Anglophone lawyers, justice, veterinary justice, English justice. Now, if you ask me one Cameroonian outstanding lawyer who is an Anglophone? I don't know.
No, we have Barrister Ntumfo Nikohale. We have so many of them. Barrister Benmuna, Barrister Benmuna, and Ntumfo Nikohale.
When I mean outstanding, taking into consideration cases and precedent, not about associating with the CPDM and building big houses and
no. We are not talking about those are allegations. Those are allegations. We are talking about prominent lawyers.
No, I'm not prominent. You don't become prominent to me because either they know you or you're popular. I look at you, the cases that you have done. I study law in Guaquele. We used to do Justice English, all those things. I want to know precedents, things that Nico Halem or other top lawyers have done to change the legal system in Cameroon. That's how we know that you're a great judge. That's how we judge you. Judge is based on tough cases that you have gone to court, you have won them. That's it. That's how we judge you. It's not about how popular you are. So when I talk about great judges, yes, he's popular in another thing I don't understand.
So how do you want the new team to be able to influence what you are saying, so that the president will no longer be the head of the judiciary in the country? It is enshrined in our constitution. It means that you want the lawyers to go against the constitution. Is that what you are saying? No. The people of the law.
Constitution is not for dead people. It's for people who are living. That's the point I will make for you. A constitution, you can change it, you can reform it anytime.
But not by lawyers, by parliamentarians, not lawyers.
No, not by parliamentarians. Listen, you have what? Activism. Activists want political and social change, but you don't want to stand for office. The difference between activists and a politician is that politicians, they want to put themselves as candidates to stand for public office. Why activists, they don't? They just want social and political.
That's the question I ask you. How do you want the Bar Council, the new team, to change that?
It's simple. That's why I said they are there to speak under one voice. They can write a letter to the head of state that we want an independent magistracy. They can team together, send a letter to the head of state of the country, and the head of state must reply to them. He cannot stay the way the trade union, he cannot stay quiet as he did with the case of the trade union, and we know where we are today.
But I'm asking you that as a lawyer, you want your peers to go against the constitution because it is a constitution that says...
You're not getting my point. When you're proposing something, it doesn't mean you want to go against a change. I'm here now, right now. I'm a leader of a political party. If I say, if I'm elected, I will change the constitution of Cameroon. It is my manifesto. I'm not going against the constitution. You have ideologies, you have things. So the lawyers, if you look at Pakistan, you look at every country in the world, the lawyers are pivotal for changes. The lawyers in Cameroon, they have been so dormant. I don't want to say where I know where they spend most of their time. I won't say it on this program because that will be detrimental. The lawyers, they have to start speaking. It is their right.
But you guys spoke in 2000. You guys spoke in 2016, and you were beaten in Boya. Is that the same situation?
The reason I went into the embassy in Cameroon in London, I slept in the cold winter, is because the lawyers were beaten. The reason why the lawyers and the teachers were released is because of our activism abroad. So it is very important, and I'll tell you, I was in Cameroon. We used to walk from CPC Valley to Bamenda to stop school that they should not change our educational system. We used to march for different things. When I was in Guaquele, I was picked up in my house. I was taken to the gendarmerie. All those things are normal things, but I don't sing about it. Sometimes people have to sacrifice for other people. Boya University was not just given by the government. Multipartyism was not just given by that. Some of us, we did something, we protested.
But the person who fought for it, today you're accusing his party of being a dead party. You don't even give credit.
I've known SDF. I've never been an SDF militant. I used to go to Bamenda, Liberty Square Stadium. I used to protest with them as an activist, but not as a member of SDF. I never knew he was an SDF militant. But however, I'm not accusing him. I maintain my stand that I will never be a militant under a party to somebody like John Frundi, where I cannot stand and talk about GDP, we cannot debate on interest rate, we cannot talk politics. He just sit and do monologue. He cannot come and debate with any person. So I don't do politics with old-style politicians. I would rather sit here and talk with some of your young politicians than people who are old-style. They just come and make speech. Nobody scrutinizes them. Gone are those days. Mr. Frundi, your time is over. Resign.
Gladys, Maître Alex, on va clôturer avec cette histoire de subvention de produits pétroliers au Cameroun. On parle de 80 milliards de francs CFA de subvention à la pompe du Cameroun seulement en ce mois de juin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's normal for government to give subsidies for petroleum so that prices should go down in order, because we know in our country, on all countries, people use petrol. It's very vital. I don't know the depth of it, but however, it's a good move, and I hope that money should not enter people's pocket. It should go to where it is needed most.
Okay, Maitre, we end with this gesture that was done by the government to Silicon Mountain in Buea, boosting internet connection for startups, and the 1-year free internet connection that was given to Silicon Mountain is really paying off, as the Guardian Post newspaper puts it this morning. Do we need such for other areas in the country, as we know that the world is becoming more and more digitalized?
It is a good move, but however, in Cameroon, we should be looking forward at the time that internet should be free for everyone. It is means of information. People need information. It's like education. To me, I don't think people should be paying for internet. The former Prime Minister of UK, Gordon Brown, that was in his manifesto. Unfortunately, he lost the election. I am looking like him. People should have free access to internet. People should not be making money. We need our people to be informed. It is very important. Information is power. If I can sit on your program today, I talk, is because about information. So we should be looking forward at a time when internet will be free for everybody, when people will not be able to be paying for something. It's not about making money. It's do good for our people.
Maitre Alex Ndive, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the line to London. It was a pleasure knowing that you sacrificed some time to be with us on this panel today.
Thank you very much, and have a great day. And
our condolence to you. You lost your sister. We've not had time to talk about that. This is the very first time you're coming on the program after that sad incident. Our condolence. The team wish you well, Maitre Alex.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm sure you are aware of my sister's situation. And I'm very happy for the team being behind me. And I wish you well, and I'll update you with any future program.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime for watching this very first edition of the program for the week, which was produced for us by Tebong, or Christain Tebong. We were Gladys Bomotongina and myself, Lasha Kinsley. Tomorrow is another day. Bye-bye.
My Media Prime TV, the African Eye. In the house, your talk show.
Hello.